There is a $20,000 deposit sitting in a savings account right now. Last year, that deposit earned its owner $76. The bank that holds it earned over $1,200 from the same $20,000. Read that again. The owner got $76. The bank got $1,200. And the worst part is not even that. The worst part is that the owner thanked the bank for it, showed up online to leave a 5-star review, recommended the bank to friends. That is the smaller story. The bigger one is what happens when you think you have already solved this problem. When you moved your money to a high-yield savings account paying 4.5%, when you did your research, when you thought you cracked the code. You did not crack the code. You just moved one seat closer to it. And the people who actually cracked the code are doing something completely different, something the bank does not want you to know about. I'm going to show you exactly what they are doing in this video. The exact account, the exact yield, the exact tax advantage that costs you nothing and saves you hundreds of dollars a year. But first, I have to show you why even your high-yield savings account is still a trap. Stay until the end. The last 90 seconds of this video will save you more money in the next 12 months than your bank has paid you in the last 5 years. Let's start. Part 1. The traditional trap. Meet Maya. Maya did everything right by the standard rules of personal finance. She saved 6 months of expenses. She kept it at her big national bank. She checked her balance every month. She saw a small interest deposit, a few dollars here, a few dollars there. It felt responsible. It felt safe. It felt like she was doing what adults are supposed to do with money. Her savings account is paying 0.38% APY. That is the current national average according to FDIC data. On Maya's $20,000, that produces $76 a year, about $6.33 a month. Not enough to buy lunch. Now, here is what Maya never asked herself. What is my bank actually doing with this $20,000 while it sits in my account? She probably assumed it was sitting in a vault somewhere, waiting for her, locked up safely until she needed it. It is not. The moment Maya deposited that money, the bank put it to work. Not for her, for them. This is the part most people genuinely do not understand, and it is the part that changes everything. Part 2. What your bank is actually doing. Your bank's entire business model can be summarized in one sentence. They borrow from you cheap. They lend it out expensive. They keep the difference. The difference has a name. It is called the net interest margin. And right now, the average net interest margin for U.S. banks is 3.39%. The highest it has been since 2019. In real numbers, Maya's bank pays her 0.38%. They earn an average of 3.39% on the money they deploy from her deposits. That is a spread of about $620 a year that the bank keeps on her $20,000. She gets $76. They get over $600. But that is just the average. Let me show you where the really wide margins are, because once you see this, you cannot unsee it. Credit cards. The average credit card APR right now is 21%. Your bank takes deposits like Maya's, pays her 0.38%, and turns around and lends that money to credit card holders at 21%. That is a spread of over 20 percentage points. Auto loans. Average rate on a new car loan right now is around 7.5%. Mortgages. Around 6.8%. Personal loans, around 12%. Every single one of these lending products is funded in part by deposits like Maya's. Every single one of them earns the bank multiples of what she receives. Then there is the move that should genuinely make you pause. The Treasury trade. Your bank takes a portion of Maya's deposit and buys short-term U.S. Treasury bills. Right now, 3-month T-bills are yielding around 3.6%. The bank buys those treasuries with Maya's money, earns 3.6%, pays Maya 0.38%. That is a 3.22% spread on an asset Maya could have bought herself. Read that line one more time. The bank is acting as a middleman between Maya and the U.S. government and charging her over 3% for the privilege of doing nothing. I will come back to this in Part 5. Because there is a way to cut the bank out of this transaction completely. and I will show you exactly how. Part 3. The fees nobody talks about. Now I want to show you something most finance content does not cover. The lending margin is not the only way your bank profits from your deposit. American banks collected an estimated $12.1 billion in fees in a single year. Overdraft fees, NSF fees, ATM fees, maintenance charges. JP Morgan Chase alone collected over $1 billion in overdraft fees in 2024. Wells Fargo nearly the same. These fees are charged to the same customers whose deposits fund the bank's lending operations. Then there is the interchange revenue. Every time you swipe your debit card, the bank earns a cut from the merchant. Then there is the float. The bank holds your money for a day or two before transactions clear and earns interest on it during that window. Then there is the data, anonymized spending pattern data that banks package and share with marketing partners. Add it all up and the picture becomes very clear. Your bank does not hold your money. They rent it. They pay you a small monthly fee for the right to use your $20,000 however they want. And you thanked them for it. Part 4. The high-yield savings account trap. This is the section most viewers think they can skip, because if you are watching this video, you probably already know all of that. You already moved your money to a high-yield savings account paying 4.5%. Meet Jordan. Jordan did the research. Jordan made the switch. Jordan is earning 10 times what Maya earns. On the same $20,000, Jordan earns about $900 a year compared to Maya's $76. Jordan is ahead, way ahead. So what is the problem? There are 3 problems Jordan does not see, and they all matter. Problem 1. The advertised rate is rarely what you actually earn. A lot of high-yield savings accounts advertise rates with the words "up to" doing all the heavy lifting. Some accounts use tiered rate structures where the top rate only applies to the first $500 or $1,000. Others offer a promotional rate for the first 90 days, then quietly reduce it. Jordan saw 4.5% in the headline. His effective rate might be much lower. Problem 2. The tax treatment is brutal. Interest earned in any savings account, traditional or high yield, is taxed as ordinary income. That means federal taxes, plus state and local income taxes if you live in a state that has them. If Jordan is in the 22% federal bracket and lives in a state with a 5% income tax, he loses over a quarter of his interest to taxes. His $900 becomes roughly $657 after tax. Problem 3, and this is the big one. What is Jordan's high-yield savings account actually doing with his money? Where do you think the bank gets the returns to pay him 4.5%? They are doing exactly what we just described with Maya's bank. They are lending it out. They are buying treasuries. They are running the same profit machine. The only difference is that a high-yield savings account shares a slightly bigger slice of the profit with the depositor. But it is still a slice. The bank is still the middleman. The middleman is still taking their cut. And Jordan never asked the question that would have changed everything. If the bank is using my money to buy Treasury bills and earn 3.6%, why don't I just buy the Treasury bills myself? That is the question. That is the entire video. Stay with me. The next section is the part that will save you the most money. Part 5. What the 1% actually does. I am going to run the math on 3 different scenarios. Same $20,000, same 12 months, 3 different places to put the money. Scenario 1. Maya's traditional savings account. Rate, 0.38% APY. Gross interest, $76. After federal and state taxes, $55. That is what 6 months of responsible saving produces in a full year. Scenario 2. Jordan's high-yield savings account. Rate, 4.5% APY. Gross interest, $900. After federal and state taxes at a combined 27%, $657. A massive improvement over Maya. But Jordan still pays state and federal tax on every dollar. Scenario 3. A short-term Treasury bill ETF. SGOV. 12-month trailing yield, 3.95%. 30-day SEC yield, 3.55%. Gross income on $20,000, approximately $710 to $790. Now, here is where it gets interesting. Interest from U.S. Treasury securities is exempt from state and local income taxes. That is federal law. It is built into the tax code specifically because Treasury bills are debt issued by the federal government. So Jordan pays federal and state taxes on his $900. The SGOV investor pays only federal tax on their $710. After taxes, the SGOV investor keeps roughly $616, and that is in a state with a 5% income tax. In a high-tax state like California, that exemption alone can be worth more than the difference between the two yields. But the dollar comparison misses the bigger point. Jordan's 4.5% is an advertised rate that can drop tomorrow. The bank can lower it to 3.5% next month and send him an email about it. They've done it before. They will do it again. SGOV's yield tracks actual Treasury bill rates set by U.S. government auctions. There is no bank in the middle, no promotional rate, no bait and switch. Jordan is renting his money to a bank. The SGOV investor is lending directly to the U.S. government. That is the difference. Part 6. What to actually do. Here is the practical breakdown. This is the part you save the video for. Step 1. Keep your checking account. Do not close it. You still need it for rent, bills, groceries, daily spending. This is not about changing how you spend. It is about changing where your idle money sits. Step 2. Identify your idle cash, your emergency fund, your savings, cash waiting to be invested, money set aside for a down payment or a big purchase. This is the money that is sitting in a savings account right now, earning almost nothing, while your bank earns 10 to 50 times more on it. Step 3. Move that idle cash into one of 3 places. Option A, a Treasury bill ETF like SGOV. You buy it through any brokerage account, Robinhood, Schwab, Fidelity, Webull, whatever you already use. You buy it like a stock. The ETF holds Treasury bills. Every month, you get paid a dividend. That is your interest. The expense ratio is 0.09% a year, which on $20,000 is $18. Pros: highly liquid, state and local tax exempt, direct exposure to Treasury yields. Option B, TreasuryDirect.gov, the U.S. government's own website. No brokerage, no ETF, no expense ratio. You set up an account, link your bank, buy T-bills directly at auction. Pros: zero middleman, the purest version of cutting the bank out. Cons: less liquid. You commit to a maturity date of 4 weeks to 52 weeks. Option C, a money market fund, offered by brokerages like Fidelity, Schwab, and Vanguard. They invest in short-term government securities and other high-quality short-term debt. Pros: daily liquidity, competitive yields. Treasury-only money market funds get the same state tax exemption as SGOV. For most people, the answer is SGOV inside a brokerage account they already have. It takes about 10 minutes to set up. The yield is competitive, the state tax exemption is real, and the bank stops being the middleman in your financial life. Part 7. The Objections. There are 2 objections most people raise. Both deserve real answers. Objection 1. But my savings account has FDIC insurance. True. FDIC insurance covers up to $250,000 per depositor per bank. If the bank fails, the government guarantees your money. That is real protection. But think about what you are comparing it to. Treasury bills are debt issued by the same U.S. federal government that backs the FDIC. When you buy a Treasury bill, you are lending money directly to the government. The risk of default is essentially zero because the government can print money to pay its debts. You are not giving up safety when you move from a savings account to treasuries. You are moving from a government guarantee on your bank to lending directly to the same government. In some ways, it is more direct. Objection 2. I need instant access to my money. Fair, and that is why you keep your checking account funded for daily needs. For your emergency fund in SGOV, yes, there is a 1 to 2 day settlement period when you sell. But be honest with yourself. When was the last time you needed $20,000 in cash within 60 seconds? In a real emergency, 1 to 2 business days is usually fine. The difference in yield while you wait for that emergency to happen over a year is hundreds of dollars. Part 8. The real question. Maya was responsible. She did everything right by the rules she was taught. Jordan was informed. He earned 10 times what Maya earned. He thought he cracked the code. Neither of them ever asked the real question. What is my bank doing with my money, and can I do it myself? The answer is yes. Your bank takes your deposit, buys treasuries, lends it out at 7%, 12%, 21%, and pays you a fraction of a percent. The smartest move is not finding a better savings account. The smartest move is asking why you need one at all. If this video showed you something you did not know was happening with your money, drop a comment below with the words, "I just learned this." I read every single one and pin the most honest ones. 2 more things before you go. First, if you have moved or are about to move money out of a high-yield savings account into SGOV or TreasuryDirect, tell me which one you picked in the comments. I want to see how the Fillie Finance audience actually allocates capital. This is one of the few channels where the comment section is genuinely useful. Make it count. Second, subscribe to Fillie Finance. The next video on this channel breaks down the exact tax strategy that wealthy Americans use to legally pay less than the W-2 employee earning a quarter of their income. It is the most expensive thing your high school never taught you. You do not want to miss it. The asset is information. The asset has always been information. The bank just hopes you never figure that out. I will see you in the next video.